My beloved child, give me just 1 minute of your time. Please do not scroll past this moment. I am not asking for much, and I am not asking without reason. Tonight is not ordinary. Something has been building quietly within you, and I am speaking now because this moment cannot be delayed any longer. I know how quickly your mind moves. I know how easily you tell yourself that you will come back later when things are calmer, when you feel more prepared, when you have more strength. But hear me clearly, my child. Silence is no longer safe for your heart. You have reached a point where continuing without listening will cost you more than pausing ever could. That is why I am asking for 1 minute. Not tomorrow, not later, not when life feels less crowded. I am speaking now because what I must tell you has the power to change everything if you listen. I know you are tired. I know your thoughts are full, your days are heavy, and your heart carries worries you do not share with anyone. I know you feel stretched thin, unsure how much more you can hold. That is not why I am calling you. It is why I am meeting you. This minute is not about time. It is about alignment. I am not asking for long prayers or perfect words. I am not asking for performance or effort. I am asking for your attention. 1 minute of honest listening is enough when it is given with sincerity. You may feel a tension right now, a pull to stay and a pull to move on. That tension is not confusion. It is recognition. Your spirit knows this moment is meant for you, even if your mind tries to resist. My beloved child, I am not speaking to you because you have failed. I am speaking to you because you matter. I am not calling you out of anger. I am calling you out of love. So stay with me. Give me this moment. What I am about to place into your spirit will steady you, not burden you. And it begins with 1 surrendered minute. My beloved child, this minute matters more than you realize. Not because time itself is powerful, but because of what happens when your heart finally stops running long enough to listen. I am not calling you to create urgency out of fear. I am calling you to awareness out of love. There comes a moment when silence is no longer neutral, when delaying no longer protects you but slowly drains you. You have reached that moment. Continuing forward without listening will cost you more than pausing ever could. That is why I am speaking now, not to rush you, but to rescue you from carrying what you were never meant to hold alone. You may think, it's just 1 minute. What difference could it make? But you underestimate what can change when you give me your attention even briefly. 1 minute of listening can redirect a lifetime of wandering. 1 minute of stillness can quiet fears that have been shouting inside you for far too long. 1 minute can open a door you have been knocking on for months without knowing why it would not open. This minute is not about productivity. It is about alignment. You have been trying to move forward by thinking harder, pushing faster, and holding yourself together through effort alone. But clarity does not come from strain. Peace does not come from pressure. Transformation does not begin with doing more, it begins with surrender. And surrender does not require much time. It requires willingness. I know how full your days have become. I know how crowded your mind feels even when your body tries to rest. I know how easily distraction fills the space where listening once lived. That is why the enemy does not need to fight you directly. He only needs to keep you busy, distracted, and numb. If he can keep you from listening deeply, he can delay the clarity I am ready to give you. That is why this minute matters so deeply. Not because you are failing, but because you are standing at a threshold. There are decisions forming in your life that will shape your peace. There are paths ahead of you that require clarity, not confusion. And clarity begins here with listening. I do not want you to walk forward carrying uncertainty when I am ready to offer direction. Stay with me, my child. Do not rush past this. This moment has arrived not by accident but by design. And what begins in this 1 minute will steady your steps far beyond it. My beloved child, I see how tired you are even when you do not say it out loud. I see the weariness that settles into your spirit after long days of holding everything together. I see the quiet exhaustion that does not always show on your face but lives deep within your heart. You have been carrying more than you were meant to carry alone. You wake up already thinking about what must be done. You move through your days managing responsibilities, expectations, and unspoken worries. And even when your body slows down, your mind keeps running. You tell yourself you are fine, but something inside you knows you are stretched thin. I know how full your life has become. I know how little space you feel you have left inside yourself. You have learned how to be strong under pressure. You have learned how to keep going even when you feel unsure. But strength without rest becomes heavy, and faith without reassurance becomes fragile. You were never meant to live in a constant state of endurance. You were created for connection, for peace, for alignment, not for survival alone. That is why I am asking for 1 minute. Not to burden you, but to meet you. I am not here to demand effort from you. I am here to steady you. I am not here to overwhelm you with more responsibility. I am here to remind you that you do not walk alone. This minute is not about what you can give me. It is about what I want to give you. You have been giving constantly your time, your energy, your thoughts, your strength. Even when you try to rest, your heart keeps carrying what tomorrow might bring. You replay conversations. You rehearse decisions. You wonder if you are doing enough, being enough, choosing correctly. That quiet pressure follows you even into moments meant for rest. I see that, and I understand it. You may have felt like I was quiet during this season. You may have wondered if I was distant, or if you were waiting too long. But my silence was never absence. It was patience. I was not ignoring you. I was being careful. I did not want to speak before your heart was ready to receive without fear. I did not want to rush you into clarity before you could hold it with peace. The weariness you feel has softened you. The questions you carry have ripened. This moment has arrived not by accident, but by design. I know exactly when to speak. I know when your strength has reached its limit. I know when words spoken earlier would have felt like pressure instead of comfort. That is why I am speaking now. My beloved child, you are not weak because you are tired. You are human. You care deeply, and hearts that care deeply often feel deeply. The exhaustion you feel is not a failure. It is a signal. It is your spirit telling you it needs rest, reassurance, and alignment, not more effort. You do not need to prove your devotion to me. You do not need to impress me with strength. I already know your heart. I already know your fears. I already know the questions you have been carrying quietly. What I want now is for you to stop striving long enough to receive what you have been missing. Peace that steadies, guidance that clarifies, and love that does not ask you to earn it. Stay with me in this moment. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders soften. You do not need to have everything figured out to listen. You do not need to feel calm to receive peace. You only need to be willing. I am here with you, not disappointed, not distant, but fully present, ready to meet you exactly where you are. My beloved child, I know what you are feeling right now. There is a quiet tension inside you, a pull to keep listening and a pull to move on. A part of you wants to stay here to hear what I am saying. Another part of you wants to scroll, to distract yourself, to return to the noise you know so well. That tension is not confusion. It is recognition. Your spirit recognizes my voice even when your mind tries to resist it. Your heart knows this moment is meant for you even if you cannot explain why. That inner pull is not weakness. It is awareness awakening within you. I know how quickly your thoughts shift. I know how easily distraction becomes a refuge. When life feels heavy, staying busy can feel safer than staying present. But staying busy does not heal you. It only delays what your heart is asking for. That is why this moment matters so much. If the enemy can keep you distracted, he does not need to fight you directly. He does not need to convince you to give up. He only needs to keep you from listening deeply, from slowing down, from hearing truth long enough for it to settle. You may feel tempted to tell yourself, "I'll come back to this later." But later often becomes never. And your heart cannot afford endless postponement. You have been living with a low hum of tension inside you, not always loud, but always present. It shows up when things go quiet. It surfaces when you are alone with your thoughts. It appears in the moments when you ask yourself questions you avoid during the day. That tension is not failure. It is a signal. It is your spirit telling you that something is out of alignment. Not that you need to try harder, but that you need to listen more deeply. I am not calling you out of anger. I am calling you out of love. There are things ahead of you that require clarity. There are decisions forming that will shape your peace. And clarity does not come from rushing past moments like this. It comes from stillness, from attention, from letting truth speak before fear does. Do not be afraid of this pause. Stillness will not harm you. Listening will not overwhelm you. I am not here to accuse you or expose your weakness. I am here to steady you, to help you see clearly instead of carrying confusion forward. You were never meant to walk into the next season of your life unsure of my presence or guidance. So stay here, my child. Even if it feels uncomfortable, even if your mind resists, this tension you feel is not pulling you away. It is drawing you closer. And if you allow yourself to listen just a little longer, you will find that what awaits you here is not pressure, but peace. My beloved child, this is where everything begins to shift. Not with effort, not with striving, but with surrender. You have been taught that progress comes from doing more, thinking harder, and holding yourself together through constant motion. But transformation does not begin that way. It begins when you finally stop running long enough to let me meet you where you are. I am not asking you to fix your life in this minute. I am not asking you to make promises you cannot keep. I am asking you to surrender your attention. One surrendered minute carries more power than hours spent distracted. When you turn your heart toward me even briefly, the atmosphere around you begins to change. Your thoughts soften. Your spirit exhales. The weight you have been holding so tightly loosens its grip. You have been trying to solve everything by thinking harder. You have been pushing forward, hoping effort would bring clarity. But clarity does not come from pressure. It comes from presence. And presence begins the moment you stop striving and allow yourself to be still. This minute is not about performance. It is about honesty. You do not need the right words. You do not need perfect faith. You do not need to feel calm before you come to me. You only need to be willing to pause, willing to listen, willing to let go of the belief that everything depends on you. I know how difficult surrender feels when you have been strong for so long, when you have learned to carry responsibility without complaint, when resting feels like weakness and slowing down feels risky. But surrender is not giving up. It is placing what you cannot carry into hands that are stronger than yours. You may be afraid that if you stop, the weight you have been holding back will rush in. But slowing down with me is not the same as stopping alone. I do not let the weight crush you. I help you carry it, and often I lift it completely. 1 minute of surrender is enough to begin healing what has been strained. 1 minute of intentional stillness is enough to remind your soul that it is not alone. I have changed lives in moments shorter than this. I have restored hope in the space between breaths. I have brought peace in the pause between tears. You do not need to prepare yourself for me. You do not need to gather strength. You do not need to clean yourself up emotionally. I am not waiting for you to be calm. I am waiting for you to be present. This minute is a gift, not a demand. It is an invitation, not a test. What flows from surrender is not confusion, but clarity. Not heaviness, but relief. Not fear, but peace that settles gently and lasts longer than the moment itself. So stay here. Let go of the rush. Let your breath slow. You are safe in this surrender. And what begins in this 1 minute will continue to unfold with grace long after this moment has passed. My beloved child, I need you to hear this clearly because your heart has been carrying a quiet question for far too long. You have wondered if I heard you. You have wondered if your prayers reached me or disappeared into silence. You have asked yourself if waiting meant no or if unanswered meant forgotten. But hear me now. You have not been ignored. There were prayers you prayed with hope and expectation. You spoke them softly, believing something would change quickly. Then time passed. Circumstances remained. And hope slowly grew tired. Not because you stopped believing, but because it hurt to keep asking. You did not stop praying because you stopped trusting me. You stopped because you were weary. I saw the prayers you never finished. I heard the words you formed in your heart but could not bring yourself to say out loud. I received the questions you swallowed because you were afraid of what the answers might stir inside you. Silence did not mean absence. It meant I was with you in a way you could not yet perceive. Waiting does not mean rejection. Unanswered does not mean unwanted. I have been present in every quiet struggle you hid so well. I have watched you wrestle with disappointment while still showing up for others. I have seen you compare your journey to those around you and wonder why clarity seemed easier for them. But your path has required depth, not speed. There were nights when your body was exhausted but your mind would not rest. You replayed conversations. You questioned decisions. You wondered if you waited too long or moved too soon. In those moments when you felt alone with your thoughts, I was closer than the silence around you. You were never crying alone. Not one tear was wasted. You feared that silence meant I had changed my mind about you. But I have not changed. I have not forgotten your prayers. I have not lost track of your life. I have been guiding you even when you could not see the path clearly. Sometimes I wait not because I am unwilling to act, but because I am preparing your heart to receive what I am about to give without fear. If I had answered earlier, it would have felt like pressure instead of peace. If I had spoken sooner, you would have felt rushed instead of reassured. My beloved child, heaven's waiting has never been empty. It has been filled with care, protection, and patience. I have covered you with grace in moments you did not even realize were fragile. I have slowed paths that would have overwhelmed you. I have guarded your heart when it was too tired to guard itself. You did not miss your moment. You did not fail your timing. You are here now because your heart is ready to listen without fear. And now I am ready to speak. My beloved child, I want you to understand this deeply because misunderstanding. My waiting has weighed heavily on your heart. You thought my silence meant disappointment. You feared that taking too long to respond had pushed you out of my plans. But my waiting was never frustration, it was love. I was not standing at a distance, arms crossed, measuring your delay. I was leaning in, watching your heart carefully, waiting for the moment you would feel safe enough to listen without fear. Love does not rush a weary soul. Love does not demand answers from a heart that is already overwhelmed. Your silence did not offend me. Your hesitation did not push me away. I knew your quiet was not rejection. It was fear. It was confusion. It was exhaustion so deep that even listening felt like too much. And I understood that. That is why I did not withdraw when you did not respond. I stayed close, guarding you, covering you, waiting patiently for the right moment. There were times I could have spoken louder. Times I could have interrupted your life more forcefully. But if I had, you would have felt pressured instead of comforted. You would have felt rushed instead of reassured. I did not want you to follow me out of fear. I wanted you to respond out of trust. Heaven's waiting has never been passive. It has been attentive. While you were questioning yourself, I was protecting you. While you were doubting your timing, I was aligning circumstances. While you feared you had waited too long, I was ensuring that when I spoke, your heart would be ready to receive without resistance. You were never behind. You were being prepared. I know you wrestled with the fear of disappointing me. That fear made you pull back, thinking you needed to have everything figured out before you could respond. But I never asked you for certainty. I asked you for honesty. I never asked you to be strong. I asked you to be present. My longing for you has never been about control. It has always been about connection. I did not wait because I lacked power to act. I waited because I wanted you involved in what I am doing. I wanted your heart aligned, not dragged forward by force. There is joy in heaven right now, not because you said the right words, but because you chose to listen. Now that you are here, my child, understand this. I am not disappointed in you. I am grateful. Grateful that your heart remained open even while it was tired. Grateful that you did not harden under the weight of waiting. My waiting has ended not because you finally earned my attention, but because you are ready to receive it. And what comes next will unfold gently, faithfully, and without fear. My beloved child, something is ending even if you cannot fully name it yet. You have felt it as restlessness, as a deeper weariness, as a sense that what once sustained you no longer does. This is not confusion, it is transition. A season you have been living in is reaching its completion, and the next one cannot begin the same way the last one did. I am not allowing you to move forward carrying the same patterns, the same fears, the same weight. That is why this moment feels different. Tonight is not ordinary. Something has shifted in the unseen. You may not have noticed it at first. It did not arrive loudly or dramatically. It came quietly, like a change in the air before the weather turns. You sensed it when the old ways of coping stopped working. You sensed it when distractions no longer brought relief. You sensed it when your heart began asking deeper questions that busyness could not silence. That was not breakdown. That was preparation. You have walked through seasons that stretched you, exhausted you, and stripped away illusions you once depended on. You learned what drains you. You learned what cannot carry the weight of your heart. Even when you felt lost, those lessons were shaping you. They were making space inside you for what I am ready to give. There is alignment happening beyond what you can see. Paths are being cleared. Details are being arranged. I have been moving quietly, faithfully, patiently. I have been adjusting circumstances, slowing what needed time, and protecting you from steps you were not yet ready to take. Nothing has been wasted, not the waiting, not the confusion, not the tears. This season is ending not because you failed, but because it has finished its work. You are not being pushed forward. You are being invited into something new with more clarity, not more chaos. With more peace, not more pressure. You may feel both anticipation and hesitation. That is natural when you stand at the edge of change. Do not mistake hesitation for fear. It is simply your heart learning how to release what is familiar in order to receive what is better. Trust this transition. I am not rushing you. I am preparing you to move forward with steadiness instead of panic, with trust instead of doubt. What comes next will require listening, not striving. Presence, not pressure. And that is why I have brought you here, to this pause, to this moment, to this awareness. A season is ending, my child, and what is beginning has been prepared with care. My beloved child, what I am giving you now is not pressure, it is clarity. I am not asking you to figure everything out. I am inviting you to stop carrying confusion forward. You have been living with too many unanswered questions, trying to make decisions without the peace that comes from alignment. That is not how you were meant to walk. Clarity does not arrive all at once. It comes gently, step by step. I am not here to overwhelm you with instructions or demand immediate action. I am here to steady your heart so you can see clearly again. When your spirit is aligned, direction becomes lighter. You no longer feel forced to rush or afraid of choosing wrong. Peace begins to guide you where anxiety once did. You may have been waiting for a loud answer, a dramatic sign, or a sudden certainty. But I often lead in quieter ways. Through a settled heart. Through a thought that brings peace instead of fear. Through a sense of steadiness that was not there before. That is my direction. I am not asking for your strength. I am offering mine. You do not need to know every step ahead. You only need enough clarity for the next one. I will not rush you into decisions before your heart is ready to trust them. I will not ask you to move faster than peace allows. When I lead, confusion fades and fear loosens its grip. You have been afraid of making the wrong choice, afraid that one decision could undo everything. But hear me clearly, when you walk with me, you are not walking alone. Even if you hesitate, even if you pause, I am with you, guiding you gently back into alignment. Direction does not come from overthinking. It comes from listening. That is why this moment matters. This pause is not delaying your life. It is preparing it. The clarity you receive here will carry you further than rushed decisions ever could. I am not calling you into uncertainty. I am calling you out of it. As you continue to listen, you will notice something changing inside you. The noise will quiet. The weight will lift. What once felt tangled will begin to make sense, not because everything is solved, but because your heart is no longer fighting alone. Trust this guidance. Trust this peace. I am leading you forward, not with pressure, not with fear, but with clarity that steadies your steps and direction that protects your peace. My beloved child, I see you in the quiet hours of the night when the world finally slows down, but your thoughts refuse to rest. When the noise fades, your mind begins to replay conversations, decisions, and moments you wish you could change. You lie awake asking questions you do not know how to answer, carrying worries you do not share with anyone. Those nights have been heavy for you, but you have not been alone in them. I am there when your body is exhausted, but your heart is still racing. I am there when you sigh deeply, not even knowing why. I am there when fear whispers about tomorrow and regret whispers about yesterday. Overthinking has become a way you try to protect yourself by preparing for every possible outcome, by revisiting every detail, hoping you will not be caught off guard again. But this constant thinking has been draining you. It was never meant to be your refuge. Your mind was not created to carry endless weight without rest. When thoughts run unchecked, peace becomes fragile. And when night after night is filled with worry, your spirit grows tired in ways sleep alone cannot fix. That is why I am speaking gently into this place, not to silence your thoughts with force, but to soothe them with truth. You have wondered why rest feels so difficult, why calm slips away the moment things grow quiet. It is because you have been carrying too much on your own. You have been trying to resolve everything before allowing yourself to rest. But rest is not a reward for having everything figured out. It is a gift meant to restore you. You do not need to stay alert to stay safe. You do not need to think endlessly to be prepared. When you release your thoughts to me, you are not losing control. You are gaining peace. I am not asking you to ignore responsibility. I am asking you to trust me with what you cannot solve tonight. Tomorrow does not need to be planned at the cost of your rest. Let this be the night you stop fighting sleep. Let this be the moment you loosen your grip. I can carry what keeps your mind awake. I can guard what you fear might fall apart. Even in the dark, even in uncertainty, I am holding you. You are safe to rest. You are safe to pause. My beloved child, peace does not come from having every answer. It comes from knowing you are not alone while you wait. As you breathe slowly, let your thoughts settle. You do not need to solve everything now. You are allowed to rest in my care. Sleep without fear. Rest without guilt. I am here watching over you, steady and present through every quiet night. My beloved child, this moment does not require anything complicated from you. I am not asking for promises you are not ready to make or changes you cannot sustain. I am simply inviting you to respond gently, honestly, in the way your heart is able right now. Your response does not need to be loud. It does not need to be perfect. Sometimes responding is as simple as acknowledging that you are here, that you listened, that something inside you stirred even if you cannot fully explain it yet. A quiet response is still a real one. A hesitant response is still welcome. If you feel led, you can express your response in a small way. You might type a simple word or phrase, not to perform, but to mark this moment. Not to prove anything, but to remember that you paused and listened. You are not responding to earn my attention. You already have it. This is not about public display or pressure. It is about alignment. About allowing what you have heard to settle into your heart instead of fading away. Sometimes naming a moment helps anchor it. Sometimes sharing it helps someone else realize they are not alone in what they are feeling. If this message brought you peace, let that peace move through you naturally. If it reminded you that you are seen, allow that truth to stay with you beyond this moment. And if you know someone who is tired, overwhelmed, or quietly struggling, you may choose to share this not as an obligation, but as an act of care. There is no rush. There is no demand. Simply remain open. Let what has begun here continue gently. I am not leaving when this moment ends. I am walking with you forward steadily, patiently, faithfully. You have listened. That is enough for now. And whatever your next step is, you will not take it alone. My beloved child, as this moment comes to a close, I want you to carry one truth with you: you are not alone. You have never been unseen, unheard, or forgotten. Even in your quietest moments, even in your deepest questions, I have been near. You do not need to leave this space feeling rushed or pressured. What has begun here will continue gently unfolding in its own time. Let peace settle into your heart like a steady breath. Let reassurance replace the weight you have been carrying. As you move forward, may clarity guide your steps and calm guard your thoughts. May rest come without guilt and trust grow without force. You do not need to have everything figured out to walk with confidence. You only need to remember that I am with you. When the noise returns and distractions pull at your attention, return to this stillness. Return to this awareness. Return to the knowing that you are held even when you feel uncertain. Go gently. Go with peace. I am walking with you now and always, steady, faithful, and full of love.